Americans, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you know something in your gut that something is very, very wrong and that we're being pushed by the fringes, left and right. With the economy, no matter what anyone tells you, our problems have just begun. Now, there is hope because I'm passionate about American history and making sure that you teach it, you know it, and you teach it. This is a nation who has not been taught their own history for two reasons. We have to know history. One, we can look to the past to solve our problems, but we can also look to the past to remember who we are. If we don't, we're going to repeat it. If you're a Bible reading person, have you ever noticed the stories are essentially the same over and over and over again? They're slaves, they get free, they become rich, they destroy themselves. They're slaves, they free themselves, they get rich, they destroy themselves. Same thing. If you don't read the Bible, read Gibbons. The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire? Are you kidding me? It's like reading the newspaper today. Those who do not know history are destined to repeat it. Well, today, let's talk a little bit of history on why I say the progressives are the disease in this country, the threat to our system of government and our Constitution. That means that the progressives that are on the left and the right, not the ones, Democrats or Republicans that are down here by our Constitution, by our founders, the ones who are here. I don't care if it's, the Republicans or the Democrats, but the ones that move on this scale from freedom to total government. Here we go with history. The year 1939. The Democrats had the White House. There were two political thoughts that had been around now for a while. They were being tried in Europe, who for the very first time in our history, we are now trying to emulate. We're looking at Europe and saying, wow, we should be like them. Even the New York Times and Time Magazine. There's Time Magazine. That's Mussolini. They were looking at him and saying, whoa, this guy's got it down. Even our own president looked to Mussolini and fascism, said this man may actually be a genius. This may be the system of the future. To a lesser extent, it was the same with Hitler, but he kind of went bad a lot faster. But there was also another movement. Progressives on the left looked to a new system being tried in the Soviet Union. And just like today, they were so willing to excuse the horrors of this new utopian system to the extent that the New York Times sent a reporter over to the Soviet Union, and of the massacre that we showed you a couple of weeks ago in our documentary on the Ukraine, this reporter for the New York Times reported, quote, you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. The Soviet Union killed 7 million people. Wow, that's some omelet, huh? Both the communists who are on the left, they say, these are communists, and the Nazis are on the right. That's what people say. But they both subscribed to one philosophy, and they flew one banner. One had the hammer and sickle, the other was a swastika. But on each banner read the words here in America of this: social justice. They talked about economic justice, rights of the workers, redistribution of wealth, and surprisingly, I love this, democracy. I started to show this to you last night. This was from a handbook from 1938. It's from Rhode Island, describing democracy, progress in democracy. It sounds great, isn't it? I looked up democracy in the book, and here's what it says. Democracy has always played an important role in the history of Rhode Island. Time and again, the people of this state have repudiated attempts to nullify or curtail it. In 1938, we're again faced with the proposition, shall democratic government continue in Rhode Island? We communists are ready to join with all liberty-loving people in defending democracy. Democracy is the rule of the majority, and it can only operate in Rhode Island as well as our Constitution permits it to operate. But our Constitution is now 100 years old and fast outliving its usefulness. Vote communist. Got it? These communists knew they couldn't win overnight. So they decided the best course of action was to take progressive steps, little baby steps, towards their, what was it that Van Jones, play the Van Jones clip, what did he call it?
One of the things that has happened, I think, too often to progressives is that we don't understand the relationship between minimum goals and maximum goals. Right now, we're saying we want to move from suicidal gray capitalism to some kind of eco-capitalism, where at least we're not fast-tracking the destruction of the whole planet. Will that be enough? No, it won't be enough. We want to go beyond systems of exploitation and oppression altogether, but that's a process.
Remember Van Jones, a modern-day self-proclaimed anti-capitalist revolutionary communist. He's advising the president. Did you know that that actually happened before? We had advisors in the White House advising the President of the United States. Communists served in the White House under FDR. This is before, it wasn't cool to be a communist, before they had to call themselves progressives. One of them was Alger Hiss. Alger Hiss, he was an attorney who worked on several areas of the New Deal, but we'll let modern-day communists tell you about the days of FDR. Here it is, the bald communist.
And for a period, communists had access to the White House during the FDR administration, and this was real. And when things switched around, they decided that was not going to be allowed anymore.
Okay, so communism was very popular in our grandparents' day. They just didn't tell us about it. Maybe they were embarrassed that they didn't see all the death and destruction. But there was another movement in America that was also very, very popular in America at the same time. And they also flew the progressive banner. I'm going to show you the pictures that you've never seen before, most likely. I'll explain it all next. Communism we have been talking about, but I want to talk about the other side of progressivism here now. Communism was very, very popular in our grandparents' day. They didn't tell us about it, but I don't know if it was because they were ashamed that they didn't see the death and destruction at the end of that road, or what. Maybe it was just the people they were. They didn't tell us all the great things they did either. But let me show you some pictures. I'm working on a new documentary for something I'm releasing on the internet. We're calling it The Extreme Insider at glennbeck.com. And every 2 weeks we're going to have a series of 10-minute documentaries of things that I think you need to know. This is some of the footage here. In fact, Sarah, can I move over to the 103? Because I think this is too small. Can you put this up on the 103? Is that possible? Yes? Okay. Move this over to the 103. Here you go. Let me show you this footage. It's footage that I found in a film vault. Get ready to pause it here, Sarah. I found this in a film vault a few weeks ago when I was out in Los Angeles. Look at this guy. Look at this. Look at the way he's dressed. Okay. I think it's coming next here. Pull out. Is he going to pull out? This is actually a speech given in Madison Square Garden in New York. Okay, look, they're giving the Nazi signal. Freeze it. And keep going a little bit more. Freeze it, and they pull back out. Stop. Freeze. Freeze. Look at this. American flags. This is George Washington. The Nazi symbol. You got it? This is New York. This is New York City. This is the brochure. This was the actual brochure from it on Americanism. Here it is. It's a salute, an American rally for George Washington's birthday exercises. And if you look here, you can barely see it, but it is the swastika. Okay? The other video that I showed you, roll this video, please. The other video that is part of this is actually taken from the summer vacation. Here it is. This, look at this. This is in the Hamptons. The Hamptons. New York, the summer playground of the uber-rich Nazis in America. These are pictures of when Nazis filled Madison Square Garden in 1939. These things were happening all over the country. These were the people that were opposed to FDR and the New Deal and the communists. Now, hang on. There are people right now who are watching this show that say, yeah, I told you, those Republicans, they're all Nazis. Well, that's where this came from. Okay? And there are people who are now on the right saying, yeah, I told you, all you people on the left, all you Democrats are communists. Let me tell you something. There are Nazis in America, and there are communists in America. But not all Democrats are communists. Not all Republicans are Nazis. Because While there are Nazis and communists, you're leaving out the one word that gives it all context. Progressive. Progressive. Let me go back to this Rhode Island booklet. Here, right here. It talks in this booklet of progress and democracy. It talks about who their groupings are, who their main allies are.